All right, so today what I'm going to do is we're just going to break down an app that I had built. It's a CSV cleaner and data validator for medical codes. The purpose of the app is just to compare columns to rules that the user sets, and then it's going to return back any inconsistencies depending on the rules that were set on those columns. So with that being said, let's actually demo the app itself. But before I do that, I want to show one of the messy CSV or spreadsheet files that you can expect when using something like this. Don't worry, all this information was made by ChatGPT. So as far as I know, none of these people actually exist. Anyway, as you can see here, we have our other headers here, some of the codes like MRN, CPT, and so forth, so on and so forth. So the app will be able to go through all of these columns or any columns that we select, and we can set a rule to it to check to see, for example, if this is in the proper ISO format, for example. Okay, so now that I've explained that, we are going to demo the actual app itself. So as you can see here, this is the full app. Right now, none of these buttons will work because it has no file, as you can see. It says here, no current report found. Please run clean process first. Load it. So what I'm going to do right now is just going to open up that file that we just looked at. Go to the desktop, showcase, medical spreadsheet showcase. As you can see here, it actually shows you where exactly your file is coming from. So you can always match it up here, medical spreadsheet showcase. So that is 100% accurate. These are the same. And then we can also get the headers to make sure that they are correct. So you can see here, MRN header, CPT, HCPCS, and if we actually go through here, you can see it is lining up pretty much perfectly with what we have. Whoops, let's put that back on. And it tells you that it found 13 headers. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is some of the features now that we have the file loaded. So you can, if you need to, add your own custom rules if you need to, and you can go just to select which columns you actually want to check. So you don't have to check all of them. Maybe there's only a couple of columns you actually need to check that are bringing back errors or some type of inconsistency with your software that you need to use. You can just pin in those particular columns and then choose the rules that you need. And then I actually have what each rule is actually testing for. So here it says validates medical diagnosis codes. So this will tell you exactly what these codes are doing or what they're validating against. And then you just pick the column that corresponds to that particular rule. And then you can run the process and it'll do its thing. But before we do that, I just want to show a couple of other features. Here we have auto detect. This will automatically detect the columns as best as it can to the columns that you have. So, or to the headers you have, and then it will add those columns automatically. So as you can see here, currency, if we add here, it has charges. We go here to date USA. You can see here date of birth and date visit. Date of birth and visited date has been added, and then the ICD-10 code took the ICD-10 header. But sometimes this will have inconsistencies or inaccuracies. For example, I already know that this is in the, where is it at? The date of birth and the visit dates. I already know that these are in the ISO format, so there's no reason for me to check if it's in the USA date or format. So instead, I will just change this to the ISO format. And then it also tells you what the format is. So here, USA, month, date, year, but ISO is year, month, date. So that's just something to keep in mind. And sometimes it won't get every single column. So let's say, for example, it missed an ID column. You can, like I said, just add the ID column and then pick whatever column you need it to check against. But sometimes you might not want to use the auto detect because you have, what do you call it? It's a routine job. You're going to be dealing with the exact same spreadsheets constantly. You can actually save your rules. So let's say you had a very small, let's just say this was your medical sheet that you had. It's only 4 columns, and you have to do it every single week or month or whatever, and you don't want to constantly have to set this up like this. You can actually save these and load them back. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to add these here. Currency was Where's charges? There we go. So let's say this was our routine spreadsheet that we had to fix. We can save this here, save rules. I'm going to put it in the desktop so I can find it super quickly. And I'm going to just say here, rules-medical, JSON. You can see here, it's saving as that JSON. Yes, we're going to overwrite that because I did this before. And then, let's delete all these. Let's say we just open up the app right now and we got to get ready for work, and they just gave us one of those routine spreadsheets. We can go here, desktop, and just load in the rule. And as you can see here, it automatically puts in all of those new rules. And of course, if you ever, let's say you had a couple of more things changed, you have new codes that you have to look for, you can, in fact, just oversave. You can save another one, save. And now, if you load in those files, you can always go back to where you was. So this is the first one. And desktop. And this is the second one. And as you can see, everything has been saved for you. So now you can just run the app and automatically will give you most of your errors. Okay, so now that's done, we are going to quickly show you what these other buttons do, because here you can't see any reports or view any reports because we haven't ran anything yet. So we're just going to run this, go back to desktop, show this, ignore my nephew in the background screaming his head off, and we're just going to show, let's say, done. You don't have to put CSV. It should automatically do that for you. Save successful. And now we can hit view reports. Reports loaded words are hard. Report loaded successfully. And you can see here, full report. It generated it today in the ISO format. Then here we'll show you date clean summary. So white spaces were trimmed, empty spaces were removed. And then here we have, actually that's something that shouldn't be happening. Hold on. Hold the mustard. Delete all these rules. Auto detect. Run cleaning process. Desktop. Done. Okay. Yes, okay. It looks like we have ourselves a little bit of a bug here. All right. Well, good thing we're testing stuff, right? Yeah. Anyway, this is what the report should look like. Any rules that you are checking for should appear within the run. So it doesn't seem to do it when you do it by custom. So that is something I did not know. So I'll keep that in mind. I'll have to fix that bug. But anyway, so here's the full report. Tells you when it was ran and everything that it did. So here's the data cleaning summary. So white spaces have been trimmed, empty rows have been removed, date format normalized, which is year, month, date. So you can see here, he's got slashes here. It's replaced those with dashes. Email formats convert to lowercase. So if it had an email that had any weird uppercases, like in the middle or whatever, all of them have been standardized. Names have been normalized, so all extra spaces have been removed. Phone numbers have been normalized. All valid numbers were formatted and with dashes. So here's an example of 1-800-123-1234. And then here it goes through the total errors that it found. So we have empty spaces or empty cells. There were 17, but I never clicked on this here to add them to the reporter. So that's what that was about. That's why I'm saying they were skipped. You can see here, invalid ISO format dates have been 0. Didn't find any. Invalid dates values. It did find 1 though. So that means one of the values in there is wrong. So maybe there's a month or a day that's too high or too low. We have the invalid USA dates. Obviously, didn't find any because we didn't check for that. Invalid emails. It found 2. Found 1 CPT code. It found 32 NDC codes. And then here, matching entries and columns. This is duplication, obviously. It's going to find those duplications because of things like department, for example. They are going to use the same code. MRN, obviously, will be using same codes. CPT. So some of these you can actually ignore. But it does allow you to see if there was duplication. And then this is what the total matching columns were as well. That checks to see if there was 2 columns that had the exact same data. And then we have invalid phone entries. So there's 8 phone numbers that are incorrect. And then here we have the total rows and columns. So there's 41 rows, 13 columns. So that's correct. If we look over here, this is 13 columns over here, and then we have 41 rows. Whoops. So let's go see what those invalids are. So it says 2 emails here. So jane.doe must be jane.doe. It's going to be johndoe@domain.com. So this here is missing the .com, and as well as this one is also missing the .com. So that's why these are flagged as invalid. Let's go to what was else. We have a CPT code. See if we can find it. Okay, here we go. Invalid code to this is 1. So here's the value, ABC, and it's saying in row 4 in the column of CPT. That's the second row. Excuse me, second column. It's saying that's an invalid code, and it must be 5 numeric digits, as you can see here. Obviously, that's not the case. ABC is not a number. We'll check the formats of the phone numbers right here. Invalid date ISO, row 13, excuse me, value 13, invalid month. Okay, so that's the error for that one. So yeah, 13, there are no 13 months in the year. Let's go down to the phone numbers. Let's see, that's the duplicated entries. We're just gonna skip all that. It's just noise. All right, invalid phone numbers. So we have row 7, row 14, and row 15. I don't see any values here, so it's going to probably say there's nothing there. Yeah, so it's the phone number length is 0, must be at least 7 digits, so that's their problem here. Here we have a whole bunch of zeros. It caught that. Sequential numbers not accepted. This one again is empty. This one's only 3 digits. It needs at least 7. This one's empty, and this isn't a digit at all. So as you can see here, that is the code, or excuse me, that is the reporter itself. Works pretty well. I mean, it's not perfect, obviously. I mean, we did in fact see an error. So there's something happening with the auto detect and the rules themselves. So I got to figure that out. But for the most part, right now, this seems to work just peachy. And then finally, we can just show the reporter here. So let's say, for example, that report that we were just looking at. Let's get and grab that here. That report we were just looking at, and we need to, let's say, send that over to somebody else. We can, in fact, do that. So you can see here, all that information that we had before previously is in text format, so you can send this over to your buddies or your coworker or whoever. So yeah. Okay, so that is the breakdown of this app, what it does, how it functions, all the bugs that it also has. So yeah, the next part I'm going to do, it's going to be a separate video, and that is the actual code itself. So we'll do a code breakdown so you can see exactly how the inner workings actually work, so you can see how things are set up and perhaps build something similar to this for yourself or for your own job. But yeah, not a bad experiment with a game engine, to be perfectly honest. All right, that's going to end this part. I will see you guys in the next part. Take care for now. Okay, so I'm a doofus. I should have showed you that it actually cleaned this. So let's quickly open this up, and we're going to go done here. That way we can just do a quick comparison of each of them. So this is the new clean one. This is the old one. As you can see here, there is definitely some changes. So here, phone numbers here have been all standardized or normalized. Anything that was inconsistent has been changed to a dash, as you can see here. And then over here, and the names, any extra white spaces have been changed as well. Oh, excuse me, any white spaces has been removed, so everything is nice and neat, and it's easy to, it's easier to read. And then here, the date of birth, any dashes that were in there, or excuse me, any slashes that were in there have been converted into dashes. So that would be for both of the visits as well as the date of birth. And there's a couple of other things here. It's like the phone number here has an empty white space that was removed in multiple areas. And the same could be said for the NDC. As you can see here, these were converted into ints. These probably gave back errors anyway. So, yeah. All right, sorry about that. I completely forgot to show that. Okay, next up is the code.